Welcome, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Library Building Committee of December 4, 2025, and we are meeting at the South Yarmouth Library, and this is a hybrid meeting. So we have some attendees remotely, and we'll take a roll call of those present here. Tom Pendleton.
Here.
Vicky Janellis. Sandy Hyde. Here. Susan Britta.
Present.
Dorcas Guerin. Here. Okay, Judy Connors Tarver, chair and president. So we have a full committee. And our first order of business is just housekeeping and our minutes from November 20. So could I have a motion on this, please?
Move to accept the minutes of November.
Yes.
I have one edit, just a minor one
Okay.
on page.
Well, I need a second.
Second.
Thanks, Suzanne. Okay, discussion.
Page 2 in the first paragraph, the square footage is not $25,000, but it's 25,000 square feet.
Yep.
Move to the fifth. Good, that's a good number.
Yeah,
That's all I.
that was one. Anybody else? Okay. So we have a motion to accept the minutes and now we need it as corrected.
Motion to accept as corrected.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. That's Dorcas McBurn,
Aye.
Susan Britta.
Aye.
Sandy Fife. Vicky Janettos. And Tom Pendleton.
Aye.
Judy Connors Tarver. Okay, all right, great. So we can get to our business. And the first item is public comment. And do we have anything? Do we have anything tonight? Okay, great. Our next item is just a review of the planning board meeting last night, just so everyone knew what happened, but I think you're all there, so that's the reason I put that there, in case someone wasn't. Hi, Marika.
Hey everybody, how are you?
So the takeaway I got was that there was a lot of support from the planning board, that we needed to get our ducks in a row and make sure we had good, solid, number information before we go into the town meeting process, which is a really good idea. And I was very just, I don't know, kind of surprised by what can we do for you comment. So that was very
Although the
nice.
planning board's very generous. They're very good to their citizens.
Yeah. It was a very nice meeting. Want to add anything? to
No,
that?
I thought it was, I thought you and Matt did a great job, and I thought, like Susan says, the planning board, and I'm new to the planning board, I find them very receptive to.
The one thing I would like to emphasize are the comments from Will
Yeah.
about the clarity of the budget and the competition you all are going to be in the spring when it comes to funding. So that's how important that's going to be, that citizens understand, even though you made a point of saying we're the first one on the list, it is not a prioritized list. So it just means we're just first on the
Just
list.
chronologically.
Right. So you'll be in competition with we will be in competition with a lot of health and safety programs. And you've all lived in now, so most of you, and you know how receptive the people are about, and of course the school budget, how difficult it is for people to, work their way through. At some point, someone's going to say, we'll be on our bonding capacity, and just hope that we fall above that line. So that will be, and the numbers are very, very important. So the clearer and the number is, and what you're getting for that number will be Very, very important.
And the transparency.
Transparency. So, along those lines, I was digging around trying to find the original award that we got in January 2025. And all I could find was the official announcement. It's like an announcement from MBLC saying, these are the communities that got it. I think you've all seen that. And we're on that list, and then it explains that we're good to go if we get through this next session. And then it had the wait list communities after that. So I sent an email to Amy Frigoletti, the assistant town manager, asking if she could get her hands on whatever letter was provided to us at that time, just to know, what other information was in there beyond this date of December submission of the program. So like what's next and what else was in that letter? Because the select board has asked us to appear on December 16. And I'm not clear whether they need to act on anything, like if they need to approve the submission or, underwrite it anyway. So that would be important to know. Dorcas, do you have any insight into that?
Well, that's what we're planning on doing on the 16th, basically, is to approve it.
Okay.
I can also assure you that one of the discussion points is going to be once again to reinforce, and this will be for us to do on our side. And also, we think critically important before town meeting is to reinforce that West Yarmouth will remain open. That will not be closed, because we feel very strongly that, from what we saw come in June, that if we don't, they made it 100% clear to us, and we heard them, that West Yarmouth needs to stay. So in order to encourage this passing at town meeting, we have to be sure that folks know out there that a vote for this does not close West Yarmouth.
Right.
Because I think then not only I can tell you the other select board members feel that would be the death knell for this, if we did.
Is Mindy?
I have a question. So I reviewed the November 20th meeting, and at that point in time, Mark said no official vote was needed. Do we need an official vote?
Probably not, but
Okay.
the select board is basically asking for, given that we're the select board, given that you're going to be putting it in on December 31st, we'd like to have an opportunity to see the finished product before it goes in.
Yeah.
And the last one that we saw was previous to that. In answer to your question, actually, we could rescind the submission. Not that I think we're going to go to that extreme, but we could say, well, we're pulling the grant, we're not going to do it at all. That's basically where the select board might come in, but they're not going to. I mean, I do think that having had the reassurances that there's no financial commitment at this point, it will be dependent upon what is presented at town meeting and what the people have to say. But we do feel very strongly, especially in light of our previous library building committee meeting, that once again, we have to reinforce that West Yarmouth will remain as a functioning branch of the town.
That would be a statement from the select
From us.
board. Yeah.
That's going to be coming, Judy, at the same time.
Yes.
Because
I see.
And that's why I kind of quieted Mark at the last meeting, was because of the fact that it was not on our agenda. So we should not have been speaking about it to begin. So we will talk about it on the 16th.
Okay. I have one question. When you say the final, I don't know how you worded it. You said you want to see the final submission. Can you clarify what you're looking for in final submission?
We want to see 25,000 square feet, not suddenly 27,000 square feet.
Okay.
The parking, I think you may not have resolved for the board meeting on the 16th.
Right.
But what we do want to see, I think, is a firm
You're
commitment
just
on what
looking
the
at.
square
okay,
footage
you're
in the
looking at Square
program.
footage and the basic layout.
Right,
Okay,
right.
okay.
Okay, so welcome, Matt. So the other thing with the appearance before the select board on December 16 is that materials have to be submitted by December 11. So that it's posted, which brings that deadline up to just a week from today. So that's tight.
For us to have the
And-
program and the commitment on the square footage. I'm not talking
Well,
about parking.
No, but before you just said that, my understanding was we would need all of that. And so that's a great relief to hear because Mark Grills isn't available to meet with Matt and the team until the week of December 15. So even if some of those parking issues get resolved there, then we're in that same situation of providing information, here we are, we have this information like we did the last time where we were running in with, here was the assessment that was done Monday and here we are Tuesday, thinking that, well, we're getting it. I feel like I'm always out of breath, here it is. And that would be the exact same thing. So if you're thinking that the board will be understanding of the fact that the parking is not resolved, then
I
think
strongly
that
feel
take
that,
the- that
Judy.
takes
Yeah,
pressure
I think we all know that's basically in the hands of Mark Grills. I mean,
It
that's
really
where
is.
It's with the building commissioner. And I think we're all feeling very comfortable with
Mhm.
keeping it in his hands. So,
Okay.
no, it's just because there have been some variations on size and program content,
Mm.
we want to make sure about that.
okay,
That's the piece that we
Okay.
really want to hear about and will be discussed. I don't think they really care about parking. I don't think it's, I mean, I know the parking is critical, but they know that resides with the building commission.
with Mark and fire and the fire
Yeah.
access. Okay,
Does anybody on the
Yes.
Zoom have any questions about?
well, I was just gonna go there.
Okay.
You're a mind reader. Okay, so, Matt, I know you came in the middle of that. We were just going over what happened last night. And then we kind of slid into the presentation for the select board on the 16th. And Dorcas was representing the board's, requirements for that. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, they need material by the 11th. We'll have by the 11th what we have on the 11th. I mean, I think we're pretty far along with the plan. I don't foresee any substantive changes. There may be a couple of tweaks here and there, but I think basically the plan that we present tonight is the plan that for all intents and purposes is going to be going to the NBLC. The square footage isn't going to move around anymore. We've tightened things up as much as we can at this point. And similarly, the parking, the park, irrespective of, and we obviously we want to have the conversation with Mark Grills. We want to do whatever we can to, do what's right for the town. At the same time, that site can handle about 168 spaces, and that's it. And that's what we're proposing, and we're showing how we can lay that out in a way that works for the school and for the library. We can't create more space. We can't, so there's a limit. And I think that's ultimately going to drive that decision, I have to imagine. So we want to have that conversation, but the site plan that we'll present to everybody tonight, which is the one we shared last night with the planning board, is sort of maxing out parking on that site, and tries to do it in a way that serves both buildings equally. So,
Okay.
we're obviously happy to come before the select board. We welcome their feedback and their comments. There's obviously very little time between that meeting and the submission. So if there are requests or recommendations that require a lot of extra work that, we don't have a lot of time to accomplish that. We'll have about a week before we need to submit things. So we're trying to get everything submitted before everybody takes off for the holidays.
For sure.
So
I feel pretty comfortable, Matt, in telling you that I don't think that the select board is going to be coming in with recommendations of changes. I think they just
Okay.
want to know where we stand.
yeah,
was-
okay.
It was concern when I raised with them the idea of 27,000 square feet. So I think hearing that 25,000 square feet is, going to be very reassuring to the board.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I think just from the reaction, the last time we were before the select board, I wouldn't expect strong change recommendations from them. I think they were
Okay.
very,
Right. I'm not expecting it. And I haven't heard any conversation from any member of the board in that direction.
that's reassuring.
I mean, I do think that going to the select board and having this meeting and hopefully coming out of that meeting with the support of the select board, obviously there's no vote or anything, but it's, or at least I don't think there is, but coming out of that meeting with support, having that be a televised meeting where people see that the select board hopefully is supportive of the project, I think puts us in a good position going into Springtown meeting next year. The more town agencies that get behind this project, the better, I think, in terms of outreach.
Matt, I don't know if you were on the meeting when I talked about West Yarmouth, or did you come in later?
I joined just as you were kind of finishing that, so I didn't hear the gist of it.
Basically, what I was saying, is once again, what you're going to be hearing on the 16th is the reaffirmation from the board that the West Yarmouth location is not going away, that it will be continuing. And we feel strongly that in our support, it's going to be important to let the public know that, like that it's going to be important for them to know West Yarmouth's going nowhere. It will continue.
Okay.
Library. And we feel that if we weren't making that affirmation, that in essence, we would be killing this project before town meeting. So
Okay.
we'll be on, as you say, the television will be on and we'll be saying, those very things. And then it's up to us, the board, when we start to get ready for town meeting, to lay that seed once again and, assist with that support. That's where this is going to come into play.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find out if we need a select board vote for the admission, but submission. Permission. Anyway, for that process.
Well, when the original grant was sent in, did the board approve the submission?
Yes, it was.
Then
yes.
they may want to do some sort of, even for the pro forma, and it may be required. But I thought, right, they did vote so there may be a requirement that they vote on any.
Right.
Yeah.
additional
And I think what Dorcas was saying before was they want to do it like a pro forma, even if it's not required.
Right.
I'm still working on whether it's required or not, and we'll see.
Judy, I'm meeting with Andrea.
I'm sorry, David.
That's okay. I'm meeting with Andrea tomorrow, so.
Oh, great.
We're gonna go over the whole process kind of from here, so.
Wonderful. And she
most
can
of it.
probably answer that off the top of her head.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you let me know, that would be great
do
reassuring.
that.
Okay.
Matt, just for a point of reference too for you, I'm the one chairing the board meeting on the 16th. We will be talking.
Okay. Okay, great.
All right, so anything else on last night? All right, let's move on. Now, I'm going to ask Matt and Marika what sequence you want to do this. I had put program thinking, the program decisions, and I know there's been a ton of conversation going on, would be reflected in that conversation and then go to the bigger site conversation, but the sequence is up to you.
I mean, it doesn't matter to us. I have, I'm going to share my screen and I have presentation that actually put site plan first, just to get it out of the way, but I'm happy to skip ahead to building planning and program first if you'd rather do that.
No,
Just like,
yeah, just go.
Okay. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Is this big enough for everybody? Is that better?
That's great.
good.
Okay. There we go. All right, so as probably most of you know, because many of you were there last night, we have a new site plan from our landscape architect that accommodates 10-foot wide spaces. As we learned from our site plan review meeting, it's an increased quantity of parking. It moves drop off closer to the front entrance. It still addresses drop off for the school. The parking counts, I won't get into the zoning piece of it, which is still a question. That's what we want to talk through with Mark. But the general approach is the same. We're showing preserving the 19 spaces to the west of the MacArthur School, closing off the existing driveway on the north side of MacArthur School, coming around the south side onto the property, and either looping around the school drop off, which has 6 spaces right at the drop off, a number of which are accessible spaces, or continuing to the library drop off. As I mentioned, this drop off now has been pushed, I think, about as close as we feel comfortable moving it towards the building. That's pretty close now. And then obviously circulation through the rest of the parking. This accommodates 131 spaces. 48 of those are replicating the 48 spaces that exist today on the east side of MacArthur. And so that means we're adding 83 new spaces. If we go through the MBLC parking requirements, 1 space for every 400 gross square feet, we're at 64 spaces. We need to add 4 accessible spaces to that and 12 staff spaces. So that brings us to a total of 80 spaces that the MBLC would want to see in our submission. We're providing 83. We've also indicated a couple of areas here and here where we can get some expansion. If we wanted to max this out, we would get another 38 spaces. So we'd be at 169 total spaces on this property.
Matt?
Yeah.
Matt, can you delineate where the accessible spots will be at? Maybe I'm just not seeing it.
They're not showing up for some reason in the latest plan that we got from our landscape architect. The spaces themselves are not showing up, but there are accessible spaces here for the school. There are accessible spaces here and here for the library. It's possible. We've also talked with our landscape architect about just including at least a couple of spaces here. We're calling this future expansion, but we might actually build out a few accessible spaces, which would put the accessible spaces a little bit closer. So that's something that we've kind of gone back and forth with them, and I'm sort of inclined to add those into this plan. We were trying to keep as much of this kind of clean, open space, but I think having those spaces here would be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Quickly, in terms of fire access, we touched on this last night. We've created a fire lane here, which runs between the MacArthur School and the library along the south side of the children's wing. We have another fire lane that comes in from Route 28 at the top of the page here. And from a fire truck location here, or here in the parking lot, and it's easy for a fire truck to maneuver around the parking lot. From those 3 locations, we're within 250 feet of hose length to any point in the building. So we feel like we satisfy the requirement that was stated in the site plan review meeting. This fire lane does not come any deeper than is shown because we can't go more than 150 feet and then have the truck be able to back out. So there's 150-foot maximum length for a fire truck to pull straight in and then back straight out. So this is where that 150 feet ends. In this case, we're bringing the fire lane all the way with the expectation that the fire truck could drive across the entry plaza and then out through the parking lot. So that there's a way to get the fire truck to make a loop from that fire lane over to parking and out. I think we've accommodated everything that we need to in terms of vehicular circulation, emergency vehicle access. We've created pedestrian access from Route 28 along the west side of the adult wing. We're showing a path here now. You'll see that in the renderings. So we'll have two ways for pedestrians to get onto the site. One would be the sidewalk along the access drive that would then tie into this sidewalk that gets you to the entry plaza. The other would be coming from the kind of northern end of the site straight in, and that would bring you to doors that would bring you into the lobby. And so either side, you still have the circulation desk there monitoring who's coming and going. Any questions about the site?
On that fire lane coming from the access road, that'll be somewhat gated, so people just can't drive in on that fire lane side, correct?
So the way it's drawn here is there's a narrow paved pathway, which is really will look like a pedestrian path. It'll look like a sidewalk. The fire lane is actually these two red lines. I don't know if you can see them well on the screen, but that gets you the 20-foot width that you need for the fire lane. And the thought was that that is a reinforced, stabilized turf that you can drive on, so that it doesn't look like a road. There's no confusion that somebody thinks they can pull in there to pull up to the library. It looks like a sidewalk. So I don't know that we need a gate there. The gate adds some complications, as you can imagine. So we're trying to sort of, through visual cues, make it very clear that this is a pedestrian way, but in an emergency, it also doubles as a fire lane.
Okay.
Any other questions about site?
Indeed. How far away is the fire lane from the children's wing?
I would say from the red line to the building is probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 feet, something like that. Less than 10 feet.
So is there still going to be availability to have an outside play space for the kids?
Yeah, I mean, there's room here, and this retaining wall can move too. This isn't fixed in place, but there's space here which is directly outside. I don't know if you can see the kind of ghosted underneath. This is the story hour room. So if you imagine, a room of equal size outside, there's plenty of room directly outside of that story time room to get outdoor access.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the plan. This is where we were at our last meeting on November 20th. We had shrunk down from 27,000 to 26,000, but we were still bigger than I think people were comfortable with. So as you all remember, the suggestion was made to eliminate one of the two meeting rooms, which we have now done. And I'll let Marika and Libby talk through the other plan changes. But this represents now the plan as it currently stands. We're at 25,400. So about a 700 square foot reduction from where we were. There's still, I think, room to tighten things up, in subsequent phases. And generally what happens as we get more detailed in planning, later in schematic design and in design development, things tend to tighten up a little bit more. So I suspect that there's probably 100 or 200 square feet here or there that we could probably squeeze out of this beyond this number. But this is about as close as we feel we can get at this point. Marika or Libby, I don't know if you want to talk about any of the specific changes we've made here.
Sure, I can. So when we eliminated the multipurpose room, the classroom got just a little bit bigger to accommodate a better circulation inside the room, but just by about 50 square feet. You can see directly below the storage room and AV room that can service both the classroom and the auditorium. Directly above the auditorium is a kitchenette, which we're not showing now, but could have access via the corridor. Those were all comments that came from the MBLC, and the book drop is now directly above that, which it's separated from the auditorium, so we definitely won't have any auditory issues when people are using the auditorium space. The after hours entry is right above that, which is actually, if within a good distance of the original entry. But because we have lost that multipurpose room and reoriented the classroom in a horizontal rather than vertical direction, it's basically shortened that entire wing by about, correct me if I'm wrong, Libby, I think about 25 feet. So which means that also the drop off can get a little bit closer to the entry. So that whole area has shrunk, which is a little bit helpful for that issue of having to walk too far. Most of the staff and back of house bathroom area has remained mostly the same. We've shrunk a little bit of the circulation in the staff wing to give it back to some folks like technical services to give them a little bit more generous space. And we've had to grow utilities to a certain extent to make space for a mechanical suite that we hadn't originally planned for. So it's mostly the same. It's just a little bit of reorganization and a square footage here and there. As you look at the lobby, we reoriented the way that the Friends is laid out so that as you step through the vestibule, you sort of have a straight shot to the circulation desk and looking down the adult wing. Directly to your west, you have an open Friends book sale area, and then the back of house Friends storage zone is right directly next to it. And part of what this did is, if you remember from the previous plan, the lobby was a little bit more constricted, as you sort of had a small internal vestibule zone between the lobby and the children's wing. We've eliminated that to make it feel more spacious and have better views to the outdoor paved area and the depression. So again, most of the children's and teens, it's mostly unchanged with the exception that in order to reorient the Friends rooms, that group study room is now tucked behind the workroom. So we'll want some feedback from you, Mindy, on that. We know that there's less visibility from the YA service desk in this location, but we think this works best in plan. So we'll want to talk to you about that. It's still a full glazed wall looking into that room. And also we've opened up the wall from the teens area to circulation. So there's also better visibility from the desk. The only other change really is that the story hour, which just grew just a tiny bit. So it's about 800 square feet right now to give you good circulation to make sure those 8 tables can fit comfortably. And then moving up into adults, again, the circulation desk has oriented itself a little bit differently just to service both the children's wing and the adults wing. We did also remove, per the staff's suggestion, one of the group study rooms that was for 4 people. So we still have the 6 individual study rooms that are on either side of the reference librarian's office, and the reference desk has now been relocated from, it was on the west side of the building, it's now on the east side, so that it can directly butt into the librarian office. And then it has direct views into the meeting rooms on either end, and the study rooms are behind it. I think we're still waiting on some feedback from David and Joe, whether this orientation still makes good sense for the staff. And it does. Okay, great. And then eliminating that one study room allowed us to pull down the periodicals wall, make that grow a little bit. And we've been asked by the MBLC to flip those two things. We didn't hear any feedback from you on that as well, David, but they asked us to put the meeting room at the end of the building with the periodicals between the desk and the meeting room. If that makes sense to you, we'll make that change as well.
Okay, David.
We actually, all of us have talked about this, and I have most of it. I just didn't get a chance to send it to you. I'll have that for you tomorrow. I'm with Andrea tomorrow morning, so after we talk, I should have that to you by like late morning as to
Okay.
like where we landed on all that stuff. So
Okay, sounds great. Am I missing anything, Libby, that we didn't talk about?
I think the only thing is, since the last plan, we've also added the admin suite in the staff offices. So
course.
the director's office is no longer directly adjacent to the lobby and the adult wing, but you kind of enter through this suite instead. Administrative offices.
Could you
What-
review the suite, because that's, yeah, just what's in there, the dark blue.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Libby.
directly as you enter is an administrative office who's also serving as the point person to anyone in those administrative suites. Then there's the assistant director and then the director's office. Directly below the director's office is the staff break room. To the left is a staff workspace, which accommodates 4 desks. And then directly below is that workroom area adjacent to the tech services. And then the circulation librarian has visibility to the circulation desk.
Thank you.
One other thing to mention as it relates to space needs is we've been having conversations with our mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection engineers. And you know, it's early, and so we have thoughts about the type of mechanical system that would work here, but no decisions have been made yet. And I think part of what will help you as a group make those decisions is cost. And so what we typically do at a schematic or even conceptual level estimate is we price a couple of different systems. We talk about the pros and cons of each of those systems, and then we make a decision. And so what we're trying to do now is provide enough space to keep us nimble in terms of our ability to accommodate any one of those 3 systems. And just to quickly explain what those 3 are, there's an air-to-air cooled heat pump called a VRF, variable refrigerant flow system. We've used that now on, I think, every library that we have built, maybe with the exception of Belmont, I'm not sure. It's a very efficient, all-electric system, and all of the 3 systems that we're considering are all electric. We want this to be a fossil fuel-free building. So the VRF system, it's a great system. It's efficient. It's been around for a few decades. It's operationally, we've had good success with it. The other nice thing about it is it does not take up very much room in the building. It does rely on some outdoor condensing units, but we've got plenty of room between the east side of the building and the property line to accommodate that kind of equipment. As I said, the space needs are quite light, I guess, for that system. The disadvantage of that system is that it is hot and cold air only. There's no hot water associated with that system. And so when we think about some of the perimeter spaces, especially where we have some larger windows, we generally provide supplemental heat in those areas. And typically that supplemental heat is by way of radiant hot water, either in a trench or a pedestal unit. And so with the VRF system, you have to add a small separate dedicated electric boiler to handle that loop of hot water. So that's the kind of that's the cheapest and least the one that requires the least space. The other two require more space inside the building, and we've tried to accommodate those in this plan. And those are a air and water all electric heat pump system. So it like the one that I just explained, but it also is able to provide hot water as part of that system. So it's a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit more expensive, but it does provide the ability to create hot water and deal with perimeter heating. It would also be possible. We were talking about the story hour room, for instance, wanting potentially to consider radiant heat in that floor because you've got kids on the floor all the time in the winter. It might be nice to have that be a radiant floor, possibly the entire children's reading room. So that system would allow you to easily accommodate those kinds of needs. The third system that we are going to recommend pricing is a geothermal system. It's the most expensive. I forget how many wells they were estimating we would need. Marika, I don't know if you remember, but at $30,000 a well, call it 25 wells. It's Libby, do you remember?
Yeah,
How
I was
many?
right, 25.
It's 25.
25. Yeah. So it's an expensive system, but it's all electric, and your utility bills are very low because you're relying on the Earth's temperature to provide heating and cooling. All of those systems pair very well with solar, roof-mounted solar, which we are definitely planning for. We obviously need to talk about whether that's going to be part of the construction project or if it's going to happen after. But at a minimum, it's a solar-ready building, and so any solar is going to help offset any one of those three systems. So I mention it because we don't need to make a decision about it yet. That decision doesn't need to happen until after the grant review and successful town meeting. But it does relate to square footage in the building, and depending on the decision that we make, we might see some further reduction in building size based on that. So that's as I said before, there are things like that affect the overall square footage, and we may find that there are opportunities to tighten it up further. Any questions about the plan?
Doesn't look it.
No.
Okay. So moving on. So we've updated the massing now that we have a plan that has sort of settled down. We've adjusted the exterior massing. You have noticed that the community wing and adult wing have straightened out. So this is now the proposed building on the site. This is representative of the parking that was in the site plan that you saw. So here's the drop-off area for the school. Here's the drop-off area for the library with entry plaza, building entry. This is the children's wing, community wing, and adult wing are now in a single volume under a single roof. That roof extends out to capture the staff spaces and utility areas. It's a very simple roof form, shed roof. One change that we made was we connected, instead of having the children's wing be a kind of independent volume with the lobby being a sort of low flat thing in between these three taller volumes, we combined adults and community into a single continuous roof. We combined the children into a single flat roof, and then we increased the height and added the area room, which is really the large area that is the kind of open collection and reading area. So the story hour room is here. This roof that's tipping up here is over the kind of larger space. So that would be exposed to structure. Everything else in here is lower ceiling. We think we could do exposed structure in the teen room and in the story hour room, but we wouldn't have it in spaces like the storage, staff offices, the sensory room, things like that. So we felt like that there was some efficiency there, and it helped us simplify some of the geometries. So that's the aerial view. We have an updated entry view from parking. Sorry, is there a question? Yep.
Yes, can you go back to the last slide?
Yep.
Okay, Vicky. Oh, Vicky has no voice. She was wondering if you could point out the fire lane and how that relates to
That was
this.
close to the children's there.
So the fire lane actually isn't drawn here. There would be a sidewalk that runs from this curb, and we actually don't even need this curb cut, I don't think. There would be a sidewalk that runs, let me try and draw it in. Give me 1 second. Terrible at drawing straight lines and zoom, so forgive me, but there would be a sidewalk that basically runs like this, and the fire lane would be, sort of a wider space on either side of that sidewalk. But that's about where the fire lane. The other fire lane, and this tree is not in the right place, but the other fire lane is here. So you would be able to pull in from Route 28 and then back out again. This is the connection that I was talking about from there should be a sidewalk here. It doesn't show up in the model, but there's actually a sidewalk that runs along the south side of 28 and actually turns into the access road, comes back, turns and stops about here. So we would connect this sidewalk with the sidewalk from Route 28. So there's connection there and two ways to get in. This connection here would get you all the way at grade back to the entrance to the lobby. Circ desk is here. So whether you're coming in from parking or from the street, you arrive at the same central location.
Okay. All right, so you weren't seeing it because it wasn't there. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yep. So this is the entry view. It hasn't changed dramatically from what you have seen so far. We're seeing the community wing and the main meeting room in the foreground, covered entry porch back to building entry. This is the lobby here. The Friends book sale area is to the left of the entry vestibule, and then the children's wing to the left. This is a closer up view as you're walking along the entry porch, getting close to the front doors of the building. Friends book sale room to the left, and you're seeing all the way through to the opposite side.
I have a question there.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this dark area, there's a door right there along the, under the covered porch.
Yep.
And that's the one
what happened.
hallway by the book drop or.
Yes.
You're talking
That-
about this door? This door is the off hours access for the meeting room.
Okay, so does the auditorium room have an exit door in the room?
It will, because although it doesn't show up in the plan, I don't think, but it will have a secondary access or egress point because the occupancy is greater than 50.
Okay.
So people will be able to exit that room through that door, but it would not be a door that people can go through into the building.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So coming into the building, this is the lobby. And again, these are pretty basic, underdeveloped, but you got a general sense of the scale and relationship. So we're seeing through the circ desk is to the right, entrance is behind you. Teen room is here that you're seeing through the glass. The study room is at the back corner. Staff position is here. So you can actually probably see from this staff desk over to the circ desk. This door is getting you into the youth services wing, both young adults and children. There's access out to a reading terrace just outside the lobby, and then you're looking down the length of the adult wing. Study rooms and everything are on the right-hand side. You're seeing the glass here into those rooms. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Sorry. This is a view down at the end of the adult wing. So you're in the seating area in the nonfiction section. This is the one area where we have 7 high shelves, which is at the far end of that wing. And you're looking west out towards the that central green space. And then in the children's room, this is what I was mentioning before, where the ceiling is flat as you go through the wing, but when you come into the main children's space, that ceiling tips up and you get more headroom, and it's a more spacious room with views outside. The story hour room you can see on the left. Mindy, there's a door here that you can see on the far side that gets you directly out to outdoor space, which would be just directly adjacent to that space. And you're seeing the staff desk here. Updated view from 28. This is missing, as you heard last night from one of the planning board members, the sidewalk and the guardrail, and probably one or two of the less attractive things along that side of 28, which we will ultimately get into this image. But the real takeaway here is that, you know, we're trying to create now a connection across 28 and into the site along that western face of the adult wing. The children's wing has shortened up from the last version of this that you saw, which is based on a much earlier concept plan. So things have kind of tightened up from then. Evening shot in that same location. And then this is the view from kind of down in the middle of the site, looking back. Children's wing in the foreground, adult wing at the back, and evening shot. And that's where we are.
Wow.
Any
Okay.
questions?
I just have a question about alignment with the program study and all those square footages and that sort of stuff. So are we there? Are we aligned with the program study?
When you're talking about the program document,
Yeah,
the building program?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've probably more than any other project that we are working on currently, we've made quite a few changes to that original program, as you all know. You know, through discussions with the MBLC and David and his staff. But I think, I mean, David, Marika, you've been the ones dealing with
Yeah,
this more, but it sounds like we're where we need to be in terms of the program.
Yeah, I'll change my question then. So you made modifications, some of it was because information wasn't accurate. I think a chunk was because the information wasn't accurate. So when you revised the program, now are you in line with the revised programs? That's what I want to know. Not the original one.
Yeah, understood. Marika, do you want to field that one? You're in a better position than I am.
This is a complicated question because we've gone through several levels of revision. So it's hard to say I'm not sure there's anything we're aligning with per se. As you mentioned, the original program document was so problematic that we can't really hold on to square footages or even quantities or seat counts that were in that original document because it was so problematic. So
Okay.
I think we're aligned with pretty much, you know, it sounds like we're getting some further edits from David and the staff tomorrow. I think we're pretty close. I think we've covered all the areas that we need to include. I think right now we're just talking about small shifts that have to do with adjacencies and things like that. They're not major changes. I think we're really close to the seat count, square footages, desks, things like that we need to accommodate. Does that answer the question, or am I still missing it a little bit?
No, I think you're answering it well. I'm trying to anticipate questions from the public, which will be, well, you paid for this study and then now you're doing something different. So we have to say that professionally, the staff and you at the architectural firm came together and recognized that there were some inaccuracies or there was some information that may not fulfill the needs of the community. Because I think I know there was some understanding that, oh, this size was recommended just based on our population. And I hope we corrected that the last time, because that was a comment we heard. Well, so for a town our size, we're supposed to have this much. And it's like, well, it wasn't just the size of our town, it's what programs we want to provide. So I just want to be able to be clear. David,
Well, I was just gonna say that we, obviously, we left we meaning the team and our
yes,
team here kind of left with a mandate to get the building closer to 25, because we were at 26 and some odd, we said. So obviously the program document was kind of 25.8. And we had certain discussions around shelving and a lot of other things that we had concerns. And so this came out of quite a bit of work with everybody here and, Andrea and Marika and I think.
okay.
So, I mean, I think we, at this point, feel like we were trying to be respectful of the committee's wishes on the size of the building and try to create something based on what we already had that seemed to meet all of the needs that we felt, we had, acknowledging that certain things like the amount of shelving were not going to be able to be accommodated without substantially revising the building, which was not the mandate. The mandate was to make it smaller. So I think we've kind of struck a balance that we all can live with. And so I think that's kind of where we sit right now.
Okay.
So
I just want to be able to represent that clearly to the public, okay? So I think you have, that's lovely. Thank you.
One other thing, and Judy, this makes no difference to the public, I don't think, and it doesn't relate to your question, but as we're talking about the plan, and I made this point last night, and I just want to make sure, I guess, that David and the staff understand this, that this is a final plan for this submission, right? But it is a conceptual level plan, and we still have, schematic design development thing. There's still room to tweak things. So if it isn't 100% perfect, there's still time to make it perfect. So just, if there are things that you guys are still kind of wringing your hands over, that you should know that there is time to continue to work on things beyond this MBLC submission. We feel like we've accommodated everything that we need to. In terms of alignment, Judy, I would say it's in alignment with the staff's needs, the MBLC's expectations, and the program, and we had to kind of sync those things up. But it now, all three of those things, I think, align in this plan, and so we've got everything in there that we need. We can always work on relationships between spaces and efficiencies, but as I said, there's room for further refinement as we move into subsequent phases of this project.
No, I think that's a great answer. Thank you.
Can I just ask,
Sure,
David,
Dorcas.
with your typewritten notes that you're talking about that you have to give them, you're not really seeing any changes to what we're looking at here? Like you're not going to come back with whatever the notes were that you said you had to talk to Matt about?
Oh, no. It's it was more as Marika mentioned, Andrea from the BLC looked over these plans and had a number of specific questions about, things like the location of the teen study room and, certain things like that, and whether she wanted to know whether we thought that those things made sense. So we've kind of talked about it. I think we're all gonna sleep on it, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to talk to her about mid-morning, and by then just kind of relay the message and then share all that with with Matt, Marika, and Libby. So it's all kind of detailed stuff. It's not like the thing about flipping the these two rooms, that was one of her ideas.
Why?
She thinks that it would make it easier to see into this room. I don't I don't think any of us feel like that's,
Major issue,
no.
especially since that end is the depression, almost heading towards Route 28. So it's not like people are gonna be staring in at you anyway.
Right. I mean, one thing that I will say that I don't know if anybody mentioned was that one change is that this is now a closed room, and the thought was that given that periodicals as a format, nobody really knows how much longer they'll be around.
Yeah.
In the long run,
Yeah.
that may become more of a quiet reading room. So that was a suggestion that she had made, that I think makes a lot of sense because we can use that room in a lot of different ways. So,
Mhm.
anyway.
Yes. Okay. Okay, thank you, Dorcas. Is Jen in the waiting room or anything?
I think she is in the waiting room, but I assume you are asking about the outreach updates.
Yes, well, I want to know if, yes, we need to go on to that next item, right, Tim?
And
So-
I can certainly speak to it. Oh, here comes Jen too.
Hi, Jen. So what we have so far is we have a town website that's being renovated. I think that's the right word. And that's kind of underway. I don't know what status that is.
We heard last night, December 16th.
Everything's happening on December 16th. Okay. That's the day that
That's the date that I think Liam said it was
So
gonna go
last night.
live.
Okay, so we have that going on. We have what our existing information sites, which I was poking around on again today. And then we have the concern of getting basic concern of getting accurate information to the public. And then we'll have the additional concern of fundraising activities. And I think we just need to know that we can't be involved in that. So that's kind of off the table. We can't be, Accenture can't be because you're an employee you're a contractor with the town. And so that's just off the table. So
we would not be able to help with the fundraising effort in terms of getting foundations and kind of the legal side of things. We would not be able to assist in any way.
that's my understanding
Right.
from town clerk. Have you done that before for public agencies, for municipalities?
I
Not that
will
I'm aware
ask
of off the top of my head.
our colleagues, but not, no, I mean, we've supported where we can. I don't know as we've led anything fundraising wise. We can, garner ideas. I actually reached out to one of the women that was in, I think I might have mentioned her a long time ago, one of the women that was very, very involved in our town in Weymouth when we built a new library. And I was trying to kind of pick her brain a little bit about what did you guys do for fundraising for the library? So I'm still waiting to hear back from her, but maybe she'll have some good ideas for us. Or, I could ask the folks in Canton. I know the folks in Canton did the bricks, with the names for outside, and they raised about $30,000, which is, I mean, it's not going to build a whole new library, but it's something. So there's different ideas. Maybe we can at least support in that sense of coming up with ideas. But I will ask our directors group if we have helped with that before in any municipalities.
Okay, yeah, my understanding is that anybody connected with the town is not eligible. Did you understand that? Yeah, we did have a training here in the town, for
Yeah.
us committee members and chairs. So, okay,
I actually have a thing in my email waiting for me to go through and do some of my because I'm on a couple of committees in Weymouth, town committees. It's waiting for me to do my, compliance seminar for 30 minutes or whatever. So maybe there's something in there about that too.
Alrighty, so as far as other opportunities for website development, what have you come up with? Or what do you have for this conversation?
I don't think
Go ahead.
we do not have anything for this right here, right now, but in this call, we have been working with the woman on our end who's going to, we have a meeting set up on Monday where we're going to be kind of giving that, we're giving her all the information she needs, kind of getting everything rolling. So Monday will be kind of the true kickoff, if you will, on our end of, getting that website up and running. I would hope, I think it would be a bit of an ambitious goal to have everything up and running by the end of the year. But again, if it is not up and running by the end of the year, very early into the new year.
Okay. And have you connected with Lori Sullivan at the town of Yarmouth?
I've reached out. I've not heard back. I will follow up with her and see if we can get. Cause yeah, we'll definitely need and want her guidance on what logos we're using. What we want to make sure that we are representing the town in the correct manner. So I'll definitely reach back out to her. But again, like I said, I think that it's going to be a couple week process of getting everything up and running. So again, if we don't have everything on Monday, I don't think that's to say the end of the world of us getting started. I think there's a lot of other background and information that needs to start getting put together. So yes, I will reach out to Lori again and see if we can get a meeting on the books with her to get her 2 cents and get all the information she has to offer.
Okay, I just want to clarify, that we are not authorized to add anything to your workload. That has to come from either Bob or Amy. So I'm not sure if this was in your original contract and where that all stands. So if it wasn't, then anything additional, just because we say yeah, doesn't mean it's a go.
Yeah,
So we'll go back again. We'll definitely have a conversation with Amy. I know Jen has been putting together the proposal, with like kind of formality of kind of changing our original agreement. But the way that we are looking at it right now is that we have been underbilling our current projections, so we would not be increasing our proposal by any means. We would be able to incorporate it within the original fee. So again, on our end, we don't have any issue with incorporating this scope of work with the already agreed upon amount that we have.
Okay.
So again, we are certainly keeping Amy in the loop. We've had conversations with her last week when we kind of started getting the conversation. So we will continue to keep her in the loop and, with her, Bob through her, and make sure that we have all of our, T's crossed, I's dotted.
Yeah. And Bob did that meeting that we had, what was it, maybe a month ago or so? Bob did say, yes, we want to go ahead with this. I understand completely it has to be in writing, but he did say to proceed with doing this website. So yes, I actually have an amendment to a proposal for amendment to task order number 2, which is for the library, to get this put under that current task order with basically the money that, as Tim was saying, we haven't expended the entire. It was 82,000. So we have not used all of that. We will not use all of that by the end of December. So it's not an increase to our original $82,000 cost. The other thing that I'm working on, and I know that Matt is working on, is both of our contracts end December 31st, and we have to get them upped for the next steps.
Okay,
Just
so
FYI.
you're working on those independently, but also with who at town hall? With Amy?
Amy is, yeah, Tim and I had a meeting with Amy the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and we were kind of giving her the whole rundown of our on-call contract, but also the task order number 2 for the library. And we were specifically asking, who are we supposed to be working with? Who are we sending these things to? Is it you? Is it Bob? Is it LBC? Is it everybody? So I think I'm addressing it to her, but I will CC you just so that everybody's in the loop on it.
Thank
Does
you.
that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
David, did you have something you wanted to add in?
No, I was just gonna say, I think, Amy and I met a couple of times this week, and I think pretty much, most of it's gonna go through her and to a lesser degree through me. So I would just make sure that you really,
Yeah,
she's really gonna be the point person, at least for now, I think moving forward. She's kind of gonna take over that role.
It makes sense because it was Bill.
Right.
When Bill was there. So, and then when Bill left, it kind of was like, ooh, who are we supposed to be talking to? So now that she's there, I feel like confident in the fact that she's the point of contact. So,
And then she's
Yeah.
gonna be doing all the financial, or at least liaising with all the financial people
Yeah.
on that.
all right, good. I like that clarity. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, so then I had updates from town hall because I was not sure if Amy was going to be here. I think she's alternating between here and Mark because we're at the same time, same station. So we skip over that. Then future steps in our upcoming meetings. Yeah, so with this appearance before this select board
Which is
getting
next week.
jammed in. How do we see this going? Here we are on the 4th, meeting on the 11th, which is also the date for things to be submitted. And then we'll be appearing before the select board on the 16th.
I guess I'd ask Judy, why are you meeting on the 11th? Do you really need a meeting?
Well, that,
day?
Probably,
I don't know.
Because they may be busy
well, certainly they
submitting.
couldn't be participating,
As-
because they'll be getting last minute materials. right?
If needed. So it was not.
Right,
that
it
they-
was as needed,
Yeah.
right, yes. All right, so anyone up there feeling that you need the December 11th meeting for a presentation of any changes that would be coming? No,
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 Because they'll do like the last minute speaking of no.
yeah, as long as it doesn't have a monetary impact.
It's not.
That's-
going-
It's not, it's not a significant change.
right,
That's
okay, so everyone can delete that from their calendars, erase it from your
11th.
day timer.
Daytime.
Well, I just
How's
want,
that?
hey, and
And the 16th.
we have the 16th.
What?
That, we don't have the agenda yet.
I'm sure the select board will put us on at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Try not to.
Totally, bring me
Try not to,
shopping
thank
bags. Bring snacks. Keep your blood sugar up.
I won't be there.
Okay. Is that it?
You
Wow.
said the 18th.
Wow, no, so we don't have to meet on the 18th.
No.
Wow, does that sound good to you folks?
Absolutely.
January to be determined.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see you next year. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Well, thank you all. This has been a lot of work. Thank you all for your attention to detail. And I will take a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. And I'm not going to do a roll call for this. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.